We do know as well, buddy, that southeast Queensland is tipped to be one of the biggest winners in this, change of where people are moving to and this movement of wealth around Australia. But the latest reports out from CoreLogic this week have kind of highlighted the fact that whilst Brisbane, in this build-up towards the Olympic Games, hosting the Olympic Games in 2032, is primed to be a very exciting, opportunity for investors. It's not Brisbane itself that they're tipping is going to be the biggest performer. It's the wider southeast Queensland footprint, and even expanding and seeing a bit of a sprawl to what that southeast Queensland footprint will be.
Well, mate, I've always looked at southeast Queensland and Brisbane. I haven't really separated Brisbane, Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast. I've looked at it as one because especially Gold Coast, Brisbane, the commute there is so easy. That's probably debatable, but we've got the
unless you got to do it every day, they might say different, right?
That's right. With that being said, talk about infrastructure. There's an equivalent highway, the Coomera to Springwood connector. So you can have two M1s basically between here and Brisbane. But I've looked at that whole area as one.
Yeah.
Because of the connectivity.
Well,
to
timing
Brisbane.
Tends to be very similar. It tends to be very similar, the
Yep.
timing. When one's really moving, it generally is a southeast Queensland, common thread as to when a cycle is moving. But in those areas, I think the big reason why CoreLogic's drawn attention to the fact that there will be better performing markets than Brisbane itself is because the greater Brisbane market looks very exciting. Now, Brisbane and those surrounding regions that form the greater Brisbane market, for me, has a lot more interest than just the Brisbane CBD general proximity. That's not really on my radar. Those slightly, those areas within perhaps a 30-minute radius of Brisbane City, those outer-lying regions still in Greater Brisbane, in the core of the southeast Queensland quadrant, they've got great forecast figures. But I think this report has really drawn its attention to the fact that the Sunshine Coast, in the last 12 months alone, it's grown by about 25%. 25% in the last 12 months. The Gold Coast is up 22%, give or take. But they're looking at these areas outside of Brisbane and they believe the forecast is still incredibly strong. And that sprawl, like I said, of southeast Queensland, up the top at Noosa there, they're now pushing that growth and that forecast north of the Sunshine Coast, pushing that boundary up to what people see as being southeast Queensland into Hervey Bay and up the coast along the Coral Coast outside of Bundaberg. It's pretty much a sprawl of the boundaries of southeast Queensland down into northern New South Wales. Mate, it's feeling like southeast Queensland has got to expand because of the population growth.
Yeah, it's probably not appropriate to use the term. It's a virus, but the sprawl is definitely happening. It's spreading all through a whole range of different areas.
Well, mate, they're preparing at the moment for growth in the next 4 years alone of over 250,000 more people. 250,000 more people coming into southeast Queensland over the next 4 years.
Yeah, and it's hard to bring on a lot of land and a lot of buildings to house those 4 people, or 250,000 people over 4 years. So it just continues to pressure, right? And we talk about affordability. You still see Sydney and Melbourne pricing increasing. We're still a lot more affordable than those areas. So there's a long way to run.
A long way, mate.
Yeah,
a long way. There's still plenty of people that are selling, in places like Wollongong and even up Port Macquarie, that they're selling houses close to $1 million now, and or they can't afford to buy a house at those sorts of price points, so they're looking at southeast Queensland where they can come and still buy good quality homes for $600,000 or $700,000.
Yeah, and still, for the investors, it still yield 5%, cash flow positive.
Unbelievable performance that way.
There's no question SEQ's the spot.